Swadika and good afternoon. Today is Wednesday, the 8th of December 2021, and this is the English language summary of the press briefing by the Center for Covid-19 Situation Administration, or CCSA. First off, let me summarize in a few short points the highlights of the Thai briefing given just now before running through the usual updates and statistics for our audiences at home as we do at each CCSA briefing. The Thai briefing summarized the situation of the Omicron variant, which was high on the agenda, and I will run through those details a little bit later in the briefing today. Another topic that was covered was the regional COVID situation, in particular as it relates to countries in our neighboring area, Vietnam, Laos, and Malaysia, and the updated measures that have been adjusted to accommodate the situation there. Of course, the importance of wearing masks and universal prevention was underlined, as well as details regarding the domestic situation, which I will now turn to. So let me return to the usual updates that we have for you at each English language briefing, and I'll start with an update on Thailand Pass. So the slide we have for you, as we usually do, as of 9 a.m. today, we have logged a total of 439,698 applications on the Thailand Pass system. Of that number, a total of 341,079 applications have been approved, 173,319 of which were auto-approved. Let's look at those numbers in terms of a weekly tally to give you a better idea of the travelers coming into the country, which is that during 1 to 7 December 2021, a total of 47,044 travelers entered into Thailand. You can see that on the screen in front of you. Of this number, the majority, or 40,729 travelers, entered via the Test&Go or quarantine exemption scheme. 5,004 entered via the sandbox scheme, and the remaining 1,311 entered with alternative quarantine. The majority of international travelers coming from these top 10 countries of origin, namely Germany, the US, the UK, the Netherlands, France, Russia, the UAE, Sweden, Denmark, and South Korea. Out of the total number of travelers, only 63 tested positive for COVID-19, which represents 0.13%. In addition to the declining COVID infection rates that we are experiencing in the country, we hope that this is indeed a strong indication of the effectiveness of the measures in place, adapted to accommodate the government's policy of reopening the country. Let me now turn to the progress in vaccinations at home. We have another slide coming up for you, and there it is very soon. We are at 263,684 doses of vaccines administered yesterday, which increases the accumulated number of vaccinations to more than 95 million doses. So that brings us to 68.6% of the population having received their first dose, and 59.2%, or almost 43 million people, having received their second dose, of the vaccine. Another slide we have up for you today also is a bit of good news to share with those, if you are not aware yet, who have received the vaccines and are interested in traveling. You can get an eVaccinePassport issued by the Ministry of Public Health free of charge from now to 31 December 2021. So that's until the end of the month. The request for the eVaccinePassport can be made through the Mor Prom application, where you click on the International Certificate menu. Let's turn now to the general situation and have another slide up for you, and there it is. We see new confirmed cases today at 3,618, which is a steadily decreasing number from previous days. So that's a bit of good news, cautious optimism for everyone. That brings the total number of cases to a little over 2 million. That's 2,151,384 cases. Recoveries stand at 5,775 cases, and new fatalities, unfortunately today, we are still recording fatalities at 38 cases. The majority of these cases are 60 years and over, and those with chronic diseases. Another slide that we have for you today is where we can have a look at the top 10 provinces that are recording COVID-19 cases. And as usual, the numbers in red indicate an increase from the previous day, and the number in green there indicates a decrease from the previous day. The top province for top COVID infections, recording at 847, there you see is Bangkok, which, as it is in red, is an increase from the previous day. Let me now turn to an issue that has been dominating the news around the world and, in fact, in the country as well, and that is the detection of the COVID-19 Omicron variant. 2 days ago, on Monday the 6th of December 2021, according to the announcement of the Ministry of Public Health, the first case of the Omicron Coronavirus variant was detected in a 35-year-old male U.S. citizen who had traveled from Spain to Thailand under the Test&Go scheme. This new case has made Thailand the 47th country to detect the Omicron variant of the coronavirus. There are no deaths thus far globally as a result of contracting the Omicron variant, and 56 countries around the world have recorded or detected the Omicron virus. The latest country to do so was Mozambique. Again, until now, as far as the domestic situation in Thailand is concerned, there has been no local outbreak involving the Omicron variant. The majority of the COVID-19 variants that are prevalent in Thailand is still the Delta variant, recording at 65.97% of the cases, followed by the Alpha variant at 32.48% of cases, and the Beta variant at 1.54%. In the particular case of the 35-year-old U.S. citizen, a total of 17 people comprising hotel staff and airline personnel came to contact with the individual, and although they were low risk, they were all tested and they have all been cleared for the Omicron variant, meaning they did not detect the Omicron variant in these 17 individuals. The Prime Minister has urged calm following the reports of the first case in the country, and he has recently, this morning, affirmed that there is no need for lockdown as of yet, and remains confident in the nation's screening measures for visitors and in the ability of our healthcare system to respond in the event there are additional infections. As you are aware, the government has been implementing additional measures as far as the Omicron variant is concerned, such as retesting travelers from high-risk areas and nearby who have arrived earlier in the country, as well as sending their specimen for additional tests. And once again, the government thanks everyone for their kind cooperation in this endeavor. Indeed, earlier today, we have received confirmed reports of a potential Omicron case, actually two potential Omicron cases, one in a 46-year-old and another in a 36-year-old, both females who had traveled to Lagos, Nigeria, and returned testing positive for COVID. After they have been quarantined in the hospital, their specimens were sent for further testing, and indeed there is a potential for an Omicron variant being detected. We will know definitively within a day or two, But in the meantime, these two individuals have been asked to further quarantine for an additional 7 days, as an additional precaution. The two ladies are doing well. They are experiencing mild cough and sore throat. So the RT-PCR test will remain a requirement for international travelers. To mention that once again, instead of opting for the ATK test as had previously been proposed. And we will continue, of course, to ask those who enter the country to stay in quarantine facility if it's the Test&Go scheme, at least until the test result is known, which usually takes approximately 1 day. Business establishments have been urged again to strictly adhere to COVID-19 preventive measures, including vaccination for employees, physical distancing, and temperature checking. Also, the government has encouraged customers to use services and facilities at restaurants and stores with a COVID-free setting standard. Before closing today, we urge all of our listeners to please stay calm and try not to panic over the discovery of the Omicron variant in Thailand. It is crucial for us to keep ourselves updated with the latest information and updated measures from credible sources. The government, together with our health experts, our Ministry of Public Health, have kept a very active eye on the COVID-19 outbreak situation since the beginning, and we have continued to share with our audiences at home as much information as possible. Please remain confident that we are doing and will continue to do our best to ensure the safety of everyone in the country. And as well, we will continue to need your cooperation and everyone's cooperation to follow the universal prevention measures, which includes wearing masks, social distancing, frequent hand washing, and vaccinating. That's all I have for today. As the weather cools down in Bangkok and in Thailand, please stay safe, take extra care, and สวัสดีค่ะ
ครับขอบพระคุณ